welcome Michael Parks, and thank you for being the first in the chat. All right, while I'm waiting for everybody to show up, I'm going to get started with the housekeeping. I'm solo today, but hopefully you will be here with me, and we're going to have a great time. So, what did Prince do this week? The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series, nor has it endorsed or sponsored the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. Welcome, Stone Freak. Thank you for being here. Now I know I'm not alone. Love this. Good morning, Christina. Thank you for being here again. So, on What Did Prince Do This Week? We go week to week, not date to date. Hello, TP. Got your yard work done just in time? That sounds fantastic. Hello, Sister Charles. Thank you so much for being here. So you can follow the detailed schedule so you can get your reading on at bit.ly Prince Book Club. Hello, Nick Belden. Hi, Eldabara. It's so great to have you here. So you do not need the expanded edition to participate, but the schedule is based on it. These are always archived on my YouTube channel, which is at Polished Solid, as well as Michael Dean's YouTube channel, which is at MD. At MD. Oh no, Stephanie. So sorry to hear you're a little under the weather, but thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you feel much better very soon. Prince music always makes me feel better, so play some. And our hashtag is always WDPDTW. We are currently listening to the one and only great Eric Leeds. Hello, Marcus G. So we're currently listening to Commuting off of Eric Leeds' second album for Paisley Park, Things Left Unsaid, released in 1993 on Paisley Park Records, which is Prince's record label. And we have Eric Leeds on tenor sax, Rhodes piano, and synthesizers. We got David Budway on piano, Gil Goldstein on synthesizers, who's also one of the producers on this record. We got Alfonso Johnson holding it down on the bass. Listen to this bass. We got Alejandro Acuna on drums and percussion. We got Richard Martinez on additional synthesizer programming. And this was arranged by Gil Goldstein and Eric Leeds. So no, this is not a Prince and Eric tune. This is just Eric. Actually, Prince really isn't on this record at all, but it's on his label. We talked about Aguadilla last week and why Prince is credited to that, but it's not because he was actively participating. He cribbed a little bit from Destiny, from the family. Hello, Realign the DJ. You changed your avatar. It's so great to have you here. Hi. I love the way the song ends. It sounds like a train. So I want to give a very special shout out to Chip and Sparrow. I love your name, all the way from Japan. I'm so happy to hear that you love this book club. That's so fantastic. I really appreciate that. And Theo, how are we doing today? We're doing fantastic because you are now with us. And then we got the Adult Symphony channel always with us. We really do appreciate it. Yes, happy Saturday. It is sun, a lot of sun where I am this morning, and I hope that it is not a great day wherever you are and that you got some sunshine. And if you don't have any sunshine, hopefully we can bring you some today. So let's get into it. We are going to talk about week 28 of 1983 of What Did Prince Do This Week? Welcome, Dr. Claw. It is always great to have you here. I love the purple bars. Thank you so much. I'm holding it down by myself unless someone pops in on me, which may or may not happen. We'll see. But I'm probably going to be riding solo today, which is okay because all of you are here with me. So, what did Prince do this week? We got one rehearsal and we got one studio visit. And this looks a little better than last week. So on Tuesday, we got a rehearsal of Baby I'm a Star. And on Saturday, he finally went in the studio and tracked some basic tracking for I Know What to Say to You. And we're going to get into that. Hello, purple people from Heavenly Gains. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And if you follow the book club, you know I always say this. I'm going to continue to say this. Whenever I see a skimpy week, and last week was really skimpy, this week is a little skimpy as well. I feel like we probably need to do some more research because I'm sure there was other stuff that Prince was doing, unless he was really in the woodshed, really thinking about the film Purple Rain, because we're about to get started. Actually, next week, I think, with a reading. Welcome, JD Washington. Good morning. Wishing everyone a great weekend. Thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. We are going to get you on, but I'm just trying to figure out like what's the best day to bring you on so we can talk some music. That would be really fantastic. All right. So the rehearsal happened at the warehouse, which most of these, rehearsals have been happening in 1983. Again, on Tuesday, July 12th, Just Rules is in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Barbara, why you are never late. Thank you for being here. And it's a rehearsal featuring Baby I'm a Star, according to Duane's book. And welcome, Vanessa. It's so great to have you here, as always. Yes, Stone Freak. I'm sure Prince had a lot of meetings about a movie, especially back then. That was super major. And it would be nice to, have that documented, like, was he out in LA? Or was he having these conversations in Minneapolis? Yes. And no, Lee Christian, you're not late. We really appreciate you being here. So you are here, and that's what counts. All right, so we're actually going to get our reading started early today, and you want to get your books out, and we're going to turn to page 101. And again, this is a book we're reading. It's really big in the slideshow for you, and we're going to turn to page 101. And I'm going to start reading for you about the Baby I'm a Star rehearsal. This is really short, and this is a quote from Matt Fink, and let me solo myself so you can see me. All right, so this is Matt Fink. There are times when you play a little bit, and then there's a mistake made, and then we stop. Then we go again and keep doing it until you get more than one run through where it's perfect. Then, of course, you do that, and that's a good, solid month of rehearsal where you're actually playing the songs, and he's refining the arrangements. Once you get the song down, there might be new arrangements or new transitions and do another song, or, okay, here we go, guys. Here are all my hand commands that are signals to do a specific cue, turn around that will happen for this. Matt Fink. Then it goes on to say, rehearsals were in full swing at the warehouse as Prince introduces many of the songs that he expects will be in the upcoming movie. So, for those of you, baby, I'm like this stars. Thank you. For those of you who joined us last week, you know that we did a deep dive into James Brown's Body Heat, and I was a little high off of James Brown, and I'm still on my James Brown kick. So when I'm reading this from Matt Fink, talking about the hand signals that Prince would do, and also the call outs that Prince would do, like mashed potatoes and Vegas and all those kinds of things, the person that immediately comes to mind for me is actually James Brown, because he used to do the hand signals as well. Again, going back to the fantastic documentary that we talked about last week, and we're going to continue to talk about because I watched it last night with the commentary on with Alan Leeds and Questlove, is that Mr. Dynamite, being the documentary I'm talking about, James Brown would do his hand cues, and he would fine people if they missed those cues. And so Prince kind of followed suit of the James Brown tradition of fining people for missing cues. But that kind of started with James Brown, and I'm sure maybe James Brown got that from somewhere, someone else. So if anybody knows that, let me know. But for me, it kind of started with James Brown. So we are going to go on next and talk a little bit. I wanted to talk to you guys about what were your favorite Baby I'm a Star performances. Celie had talked to us about his, and I did a little deep dive myself of like the actual live performances of Baby I'm a Star, which were the ones that I really loved. And I was actually kind of surprised by what I discovered. So I, you know, I mean, I bought this DVD, I'm not DVD, VHS tape when it first came out, Prince and the Revolution Live. And I really loved the Irresistible Bee / Possessed part of the show. That I was obsessed with that part. But I really didn't watch it for any of the other stuff. I was just obsessed with Irresistible Bee and Possessed. And then for a long time, I was anti-Baby I'm a Star, because I was like, it's going to be a beautiful night. I thought was better and more celebratory. But now, like 30 years later, we talked about this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I'm like obsessed with Baby I'm a Star. So to make a very long story short, after watching Baby I'm a Star last night from this live, I watched, the American Music Awards. I watched the official video, which was from Landover. I watched the 20-minute plus Atlanta performance. And it turns out that the Baby I'm a Star on Prince and the Revolution Live is my favorite Baby I'm a Star live. And it's because, I don't know, it's just like with a lot of the other ones, he was doing a lot of the call outs and the hits, like Give Me 25, Give Me whatever. And then also, calling out people like Sheila E. But with this one, like they were just in a groove. I feel like they all felt it. And so it's shorter than like the Atlanta one, which I love, because the Atlanta one was over 20 minutes long, and I was at one of the Atlanta shows. So I really love that. Oh, we got Edgar in the house. Let's see what Edgar says. Edgar says, I've always felt Prince was pushing it with the James Brown act during Baby I'm a Star and the Purple Rain tour. It dragged on way too long. Edgar, I am really happy that you bring out this point, because that was one of the problems that I actually had with Baby I'm a Star. And to be honest, with the Purple Rain tour in general, is that I felt that he was leaning too hard on James Brown. And because I've been doing this deep dive into James Brown this past week, looking at the documentary and really being like, I don't know, just really blown away by James Brown. I mean, again, I've been listening to James Brown all my life. And I bought the Star Time box set when it came out, like in 1991. And I would have been like 20. And so I've been listening to James Brown for a long time. But because of this book club, I've been doing like deeper dives, and I realized just how incredible James Brown's influence was over Prince. But in real time, I hated it because I thought that Prince should have been original, that he shouldn't have been derivative. And that was actually one of the issues I had with D'Angelo's Voodoo tour as well. He relied so much on James Brown that I felt like it overshadowed, in Prince's case, Prince's, you know, authorship, and in D'Angelo's case, his authorship. But I understand why, because James Brown is bigger than life. And no one sounds like James Brown, even people who try to, emulate him or are influenced. It's just he had this electric energy that's really hard to duplicate. And so it's just really interesting to see Prince really give homage to James Brown. So I understand it now as an older person, given respect. But I totally hear you, Edgar, about, pushing it with James Brown. I'm with you on that. And then Edgar follows up with later on in his career, became more balanced. Yep, new tour and the Diamonds and Pearls tour. JD says, I saw Bootsy at the Grammy Museum several years ago, and he said James was like a drill sergeant. Yes, that comes up a lot in the Mr. Dynamite documentary, and Bootsy's in that documentary. And I feel like Prince also got a lot of his rehearsal cues from James Brown. I'm sure he maybe had heard about James Brown from Alan Leeds, and maybe drilled Alan Leeds about how James Brown ran his ships. So I'm just curious, how much of information, where Prince got his information about how James Brown was sort of dealing. James Brown had his own record label, Prince would have his own record label, and James Brown had his own, jet and all sorts of things. So JD says he joked that he was a young knucklehead who needed the discipline structure, though he did not appreciate it at the time. And let's see, yes, Bootsy also talks about that in the Mr. Dynamite documentary, which is a must say. Prince and MJ were both highly influenced by James Brown. Sexy MF was all James. Yes, it is so apparent. It is definitely apparent that they were both highly influenced by James, not only, with the dance moves, and no one can dance like James Brown, but also in Prince's case, the music. Like, I'm beginning to realize how much Prince really put James Brown's DNA in certain songs, and Baby I'm a Star is one of those songs because it's a groove, or an extended vamp, which is why the Atlanta show can go on for 20 minutes. And we got Cassandra Bradley from the ATL. We're talking about Baby I'm a Star from the Atlanta show at the Omni. That was 20 plus minutes. And then JD saying, while he didn't say Prince mimicked James, he did make a comment about how much he admired Prince's preparation. And Stone Freak says, I remember Prince performing Baby I'm a Star when I think the Grammys or something, that one of those award shows. That's my favorite one. Yes, the award show. And I might get my award show up mixed up. It's the Grammys or American Music Awards. One of those was a really fantastic performance. And I'm sure someone will correct me in the chat, because that's the reason why we're all here together, so I don't have to do my Googles. And then Tanja, welcome. Always great to have you here, as well as Purple Cat Confetti. And let's see what Just Roots is talking about. My former rhythm guitarist, Dino, aka D Legacy, toured with D'Angelo on the Voodoo tour. Dino is heard on Michael Jackson's One More Chance remix, also related to the fantastic Evelyn Champagne King, who Andre Simone produced. And we've talked about that in previous ones. So Stone Freak has told us that, their favorite one is Baby I'm a Star from the award show. What about everybody else? What are your favorites? So my favorite, in terms of what's visible, because I'm sure there's a lot of performances we haven't seen in the vault, or erased over on those videotapes or whatnot. But my favorite is definitely Prince and the Revolution live, because it doesn't go on for so long. He doesn't really, he's just in the groove. You can tell he's really into it. And I was really blown away that I hadn't really paid attention to it. So I watched like 5 different Baby I'm a Stars last night back to back. However, my second favorite one was the Omni, because for the opposite reason, it did go on for so long. And I love Baby I'm a Star. And I've been listening to Baby I'm a Star even prior to getting to this point in the book, because of a rehearsal, which I won't say which one, but it goes on and on and on and on forever. It's almost probably 40 minutes, 50 minutes. And when it ends, I put it on again. So I could listen to Baby I'm a Star, particularly with Brown Mark's bass playing, because Brown Mark is incredible, but he has like this pulsating rhythm, and he never like loses, just the beat. He doesn't lag, and he just keeps you going. So like when I'm down, last year I was putting on Super Funky Califragisexy live, from the Warfield, but this year I've been like really going hard on the Baby I'm a Star rehearsal. Yes, I still own the VHS format of Prince of the Revolution live. Speaking of VHS format, and I no longer have a VHS player, but I wish I had one, because there's 2 VHS tapes that I really want to watch that I can't watch, and they're both related to Sheila E., which we're going to talk about later today, because she got her Walk of Fame star this week, and we're so excited about that because she so deserves it. But one of my favorite Sheila E., probably my favorite Sheila E. performance of all time, is when she performed with her father and Tito Puente on that Latina Familia VHS tape. And it's also on Laserdisc, but they never released it on DVD or Blu-ray. And that's something that I really wish that they would re-release, particularly because of Tito Puente, who is, a musical treasure. So for the documentation of Tito alone, you would think that they would release that, and it hasn't yet, but it's a brilliant performance. And then the other one is actually the Romance 1600 performance, which, obviously Prince is on that, on the Love Bazaar, and I think all things Prince should be preserved. So I hope, but Sheila E. is also important and iconic as well. So I'm hoping that those 2 VHSs will eventually get released to the world in another form where you don't need a VHS player. All right, so let's see. TP is saying, did anyone notice that Prince hit himself in the face with the mic at the beginning of the Grammys performance of Baby I'm a Star? Yes, I noticed that. And then also in another performance, I want to say it was I can't remember which one, but he almost tripped too on some of the chords that were on stage. But he, like a professional, just like played it off like nothing had happened. So he was the ultimate performer in that regard. And speaking of ultimate performers, they had a little small clip in the Mr. Dynamite show of that performance where Michael Jackson and Prince get on stage with James Brown at a James Brown concert. And you know how the lamp light, falls over because, it's just like a prop. They only showed the Michael Jackson bit, but if you're a Prince fan, you actually know what happened. And we're going to talk about it again because it happened in August of 1983. So we're going to talk about this again when it happens. But I had an epiphany last night, and my epiphany was this was a very critical moment for Prince in terms of his live performances, because like less than a year later, like his dance moves were, and his like stage performance had like gotten to another level. And I really do think it was because of that James Brown fiasco, in my personal opinion. And I think it's, a parallel point in terms of Prince's live performances. Like I think it's on par with the Rolling Stones performance, during the controversy era where Prince opened for the Rolling Stones. He supposedly got booted off stage. They were throwing things at him. And I really do think that lit a fire under Prince to become like one of the best live performers ever. And I think that this James Brown show was like the second incident where it made Prince like really up his game even more so. And you get like, all those James Brown moves and things of that nature. So it could be respect, and also a little bit, I'm going to show you I can, dance just as well as James Brown or Michael Jackson. And I really do think it's because of that incident. Yes, LW, those super long jams are hypnotic, like a musical meditation. I really love the Revolution rehearsals in particular, only because they go on for so long and they get in a groove. And if you're working, you can just get in this work groove. It's really pretty amazing, in my personal opinion. For personal reasons, I would say Hop Farm 2010, as I was there, and it was kind of hit set, but having seen him 15 times since Diamonds and Pearls tour, he mostly chucked it in medleys or it didn't. Yeah, like I don't like medleys in general. I won't go into my medley rabbit hole, but I will say this. So I've seen Al Green a lot in my lifetime. Al Green is one of my favorite live performers. And I grew to detest medleys because of seeing Al Green, because he would play such short snippets and you really couldn't even get in the song. And I understand why they do medleys, but I hate it when Al Green would do medleys, and I detest it when Prince would do medleys. And I really got upset when he went to that sampler and he did that. I was like, oh, please don't, because I want to hear the whole song. All right. And then so Real Lana DJ says, like a student graduating from college, Prince was showcasing what he learned from Funk University. I love that. Yes. And Just Rules, eBay have good choices and prices on VHS players. Elgato video capture does good conversions, transfers, worth it. Thank you so much for that, Elgato. And Just Rules, I personally still do VHS digital transfer. So much fun to do. And yes, we got some notices of the mic hitting the face during the Grammy performance. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I love this. How Just Rules says Kiss video does spray JB all in the air. And Lee Christian says, saw Al Green at Glastonbury. Wow. And yes, was a little let down. I wasn't let down. I want to let me say that I wasn't let down by Al Green. Every single performance I've seen of Al Green has been incredible. That's the reason why anytime Al Green performs and I go see him, it's just that I just don't like the medleys, because I really want to hear the full songs. But I still love going to see him live, and will continue to do so as long as he performs. So it's just my preference versus judging, Al Green's performance, because it's always really, really incredible. And then Just Rule says the revolution influenced much of us 80s children. All right, so let's see where we are. So we talked about I liked the new, because it's like so darn long at a concert. I understand like during rehearsals, but for him to go 20 plus minutes at a concert on one song was pretty crazy and wonderful. Crazy wonderful. I see, Lee Christian. It wasn't full songs, and his background singers did a lot of the heavy lifting. Yes, okay. I will say this, Lee Christian, you reminded me. Another thing I don't like about when I go see Al Green is that he likes for the audience to sing the songs, because he wants it to be a communal experience. But I personally prefer actually hearing him sing the songs. Like, and whomever I'm going to see, I would rather hear them sing than the audience sing. That's just me. All right, so we talked about, this is like my second one, and then my third one would probably be the official video, which is actually from Landover, Maryland, from November 20th, 1984. And one of the reasons why I love it so is actually because of Sheila E. Good morning, Kelvin. Thank you so much for being here. And I've said this several times, but at this point in my life, Prince and Sheila were like neck and neck as far as I was concerned, like girl power. So yes, I was not a fan of the sampler set either, Stephanie. And only because I wanted to hear, the full song live. So that's just me. All right. And then okay. So we had one studio visit this week on Saturday, July 16th at the Kiowa Trail Home Studio. And the name of the song was I Know What to Say to You. That's a tentative title. And I really do think it's a tentative title because I'm wondering, did he not have the number twos or the letter U for you? And this is a basic tracking with Stevie Nicks. And I keep forgetting to change this photo. Obviously, this is not the Kiowa Trail home studio. So I got to change that. But I do this really quick sometimes, and I did not notice that. So my apologies. And the producer's Prince, and the engineer is Don Batts as assumed. And let's see. So Eldebar says Prince's medley at the 2005 NAACP was the best medley performance ever. Fire. I'll have to check it out. And then we got Michael Parks. Prince was a master at medleys. Yes, he was, but I still didn't like them. Lee Christian says, obviously happy to see Al Green at all as one of my favorite soul singers ever, if not my fave possibly. Yeah, there's nothing like Al Green. All right, so again, apologies for the photo. We're going to turn to our books and we're going to read pages 102 to 103 to hear about this unreleased song called I Know What to Say to You. And this is a little quote that Duane has in the book from Prince, a Q&A, and it says, the question is, so you can go into a session and not even have the full picture in mind, lay down the baseline, and then build around that? And the answer from Prince was, I could. I've done it before. Yes. Okay, this is Duane writing. 5 months earlier, Prince had worked with Stevie Nicks on Stand Back, which was currently a Billboard Top 15 hit and still climbing the charts. When her tour brought her to the Twin Cities, Prince invited Nicks to spend the evening with him at his home, hoping to create another track with her. Because you should remember that when Stevie Nicks recorded Stand Back, she invited Prince to come in the studio and lay down some keyboards because she felt it was so close to Little Red Corvette that she wanted him to be aware of the recording and let him know and make sure that was okay. And then also wanted to have him participate in some way. And then this is Stevie Nicks and says, Prince came and got me right after the show. I'm still in my chiffon stage outfit and he's in his purple stage outfit. We get in his purple Camaro and bomb out onto the freeway at 100 miles per hour, baby. That's what it's all about. That's not in the book, but that's what I'm thinking about. I'm terrified, but kind of excited too. SHIT, we're going to get pulled over. So we get to his purple house and he has a studio downstairs and we try to write a song together. But I've just done a show and I'm tired, so I go upstairs and sleep on the floor of his purple kitchen. In the morning, he wakes me up and I have some coffee and I sing a little part on the song, but I've got to be at the airport by 2 p.m. to take off. And you do not miss that plane. We get into the purple Camaro again. Prince bombs it down the freeway and right out onto the tarmac alongside our private jet. Can you imagine that? He comes around to open my door and we hug goodbye. But we both look like crazy people. I get on the plane and the rest of the band are like, drums, fingers, rolls eyes. I'm like, what? Nothing happened. The track consists of Stevie Nicks singing a call and response with her lines, which sometimes come back repeated and sometimes contain a response. The song is about a conversation with someone who claims that the singer doesn't know anything about them, but Stevie's reply is that despite all of that, I know what to say to you. In fact, much more than you think I do. This is over a cold bed of Lindrum and layers of synth. The song is a somewhat sparse and experimental demo and contains no guitar work. Want to hear the song? That's all I gotta say. I would love to hear the song. And the status is I Know What to Say to You, which is 4 minutes and 35 seconds, is the tentative title for the track, but this has not been verified. It remains unreleased. And then in italics, Duane writes, Nicks' interview indicates that it was a Fleetwood Mac tour, but if this date is accurate, she was on solo tour for her album, The Wild Heart, and played at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota on July 15th, 1983. Thank you so much, Anisha, for this really wonderful comment and for being here. Yes, morning, discussing Princess music is always a great way to begin the day. So thank you so much for that. So after this little bit, Duane talks pretty much a little bit about what's happening with the time and also about a little bit about Wendy and Lisa. I'm not going to read the entire thing, even though it's kind of short, but there is a couple of things I want to read that really stood out to me. And one of them was this quote from Matt Fink, and I had never really thought about it until I read this quote. And he says, Matt Fink, Dr. Fink, I also felt it worked, meaning the revolution worked, looks wise. The fact that there were two women, it was like the configuration of Fleetwood Mac. So I'm curious to know if Prince was influenced by, all of his interactions at this point with Stevie Nicks. And I would assume that Prince was a Fleetwood Mac fan because almost everyone back in those days and times with Rumors, it's that album so many. I know that in our household, Rumors was playing all the time in rural Alabama. So I'm sure with the radio stations that Prince was listening to that he heard Rumors. And I just wonder if Dr. Fink is correct. And maybe he was thinking about how the optics of Fleetwood Mac and how he could emulate that with the revolution. All right. And then another quote is from Peggy McCreary on page 104. And she's talking about how Prince used to joke with Wendy being a new member of the band. And again, this is Peggy McCreary speaking. When I knew Wendy, she was so freaked out to solo. Prince used to joke with her, are you going to solo? Are you going to solo? You just felt for her because it was so hard. But then once she got that under her belt, she just flew. Now, one of the things I wish that I had a little clarification on was in this quote from McCreary, she says, you just felt for her because it was so hard. And I wonder what she means by so hard, meaning the rehearsals or Prince joking. I'm not quite sure. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me when I read this again is that, are you going to solo? Are you going to solo? Like this joking is the way that some people who are into joking, interact with people. And I don't think, you could take this in two ways. One, you can say that he was being mean, or two, you can just say that he was being encouraging, or three, you could take it, at least I know growing up in the 70s and in the culture that I grew up in, there was a lot of tough love. So it might have been a little bit of that as well. So let's see. Yes, Purple Cat, my big brother played Rumors every day. Rumors was huge. I think the only thing that probably compares to Rumors is Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon in terms of like the cultural cachet. And then Maria Ellicott says, Lisa said the revolution was a combo of Fleetwood Mac and Sly and Family Stone. That totally makes sense in terms of the optics for sure. And Maria is also saying that was his unique way of encouraging Winnie. That's what I say. I agree with you, Maria. I do. But JD's Washington is saying, I suspect there must have been a lot of pressure on her. Des was well loved. I'm sure it was a lot of pressure. Yep, because Des had been there from the beginning in terms of the live performances. So that was a lot of pressure. And also Wendy was very young. And then Lee Christian says, maybe even just playing a solo. Also for Prince, who can solo like crazy, maybe. I'm not a fan of some of Wendy's live solos compared to many P guitarists, to be honest. So, Lee Christian, I totally understand your point of view, particularly in the beginning when Wendy had just joined the band, because she was a young guitarist. She had just started. But by the time Wendy and Lisa went solo, particularly for their debut album, Wendy's guitar playing really leveled up, and she had some incredible solos on their debut album, Wendy and Lisa, and is now obviously a consummate guitarist. And everybody has to start somewhere, and she was very young. This reminds me of a band that we've talked about before. In my youth, I used to go see this band in Atlanta called Follow for Now, and David Ryan Harris was even in this band. They were very young. He was really, really good, but one of his bandmates was not very good on the guitar, and it took him a while to get as good as David, but he finally got there. But it was, only after playing a lot of different shows and all of that. And as a young person, I saw that evolution of how he got better, and it just really drilled in me, like, you can get better if you just keep at it and keep practicing. And you know that Prince put the revolution through the ringer in terms of rehearsals. I mean, like hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of rehearsal. So I mean, she had to have gotten better just from that being in the shed, and getting better and better. Let's see. Let's see. Just Rule says, bluff those who are tough. Yes, when is touch with those chords. Great guitarist she is. Touch with those chords, rather. Wendy is joint. Yes, Wendy is incredible. Also, Wendy is really fantastic on the bass, because she also plays a lot of bass on the debut album as well. So she doesn't get as enough credit for her bass playing as she should as well. And Lee Christian says, yes, her chords are amazing, and there's some good solo stuff on Fruit at the Bottom too. I think Jessie also is on that album. Yes, Jessie is on one of the songs on Fruit at the Bottom, and Tough Competition all around her in a day. And recently listening to both Wendy and Lisa projects. Yeah, there's actually 4 Wendy and Lisa projects. It might be even 5. So there's the Wendy and Lisa debut, which was self-titled. Then there was also Fruit at the Bottom. And then there was also Eroica, which was, at the time, I loved Eroica. But since then, I've really just, when I listen to Wendy and Lisa, I actually go back and listen to the debut album, because I just think it is like perfect. It really is perfect. And then they released Girl Brothers back in 1998. And then I've always forget about White Flags of Winter Chimney from 2008. So technically, they have 5 albums. And then in between that, you have the remix in a Carnation that was released, that basically had a lot of their remixes. And we talked about like the little mini 3-inch CDs last week, and they released a lot of those little mini 3-inch CDs. So I have several Wendy and Lisa little mini 3-inch CDs from the 12-inch mixes. Yes, Eroica was really, really fantastic. We are on week 28, and you can always find where we are by going to bookclub.polishsolid.com/schedule. It will let you know where we are, and we'll talk about that at the end. But if you go to this URL, you can basically see where we are. but I'll go back to the screen here so you can actually see that we just finished reading pages 102 and 103. And we are currently talking about I Know What to Say to You, but then Duane has this little paragraph right after, and we were talking about some of the transition between Des and Wendy as a guitarist. Yes, also the Hero soundtrack. And then, I mean, one of the things that I didn't talk about was in addition to their own albums, they did a lot of music for TV and film. One of my favorite, actually one of their first film work was for one of my favorite films called Brown Sugar with Sanaa Lathan. And they also did the score, soundtrack, whatever you want to call it, for heroes like Edgar is saying, but also Nurse Jackie, which is the score soundtrack that I really love that they did. Nurse Jackie was really fantastic. So yeah, they've done a lot in TV and film. And then there was also they also did something for I can never remember that it was that a Robin Williams film. I think they also had a song on that, and I can't remember what it was on. Toys. Toys was the name of it, and they actually did that as well. All right, and let's see. Yeah, I mean, Always in My Dreams is, is a fantastic song. And let's see, there's a slight difference between the OG and the expanded Maria OG version is page 98. Yep. So that's the reason why I always point out at the beginning that we're actually reading the expanded edition. And you can also see on the screen here is the expanded edition, the one that we're reading. And the expanded edition also have a few updates. So again, at the beginning, I'd say you can use the original edition, obviously, to follow along, but there might be some minor differences between the original version and the expanded edition. And let's see, actually, well, I usually have this pulled up. I don't have it pulled up. I'm going to pull it up really quickly if I can. All right. So I'm going to share this tab again. So this is basically our schedule for the year, actually. And you can always see like what page we're on and what's the beginning chapter versus the ending chapter, because the page numbers would be different in the original edition. So this will let you know like what dates we're reading for the week. And then next week we'll be reading, it's just like Summer 1983, Date Unknown is the name of the chapter, but it's actually 4 pages, 104 to 108. So that's how you can keep up. And again, the URL is, oops, it's the wrong URL, bookclub.polissolid.com, and more specifically, the schedule. All right, so let me go back to our slideshow. And let me get this banner off the screen. All right. So what did Prince do this week? And so far, I'm sorry, in 1983, so far in 1983, he has tracked 25 songs. He has, and again, the slideshow is at the bottom of the book club website. So that's another reason why you kind of want to know the book club website. And again, I'm going to put it on here one more time. And if you go to here, you can actually see the slideshow at the very bottom of the screen. So if you want to go back later and look at it, and I'll make the change that image that is incorrect. So you can see that I added, I Know What to Say to You. And then in addition, there are now 3 rehearsals documented in Duane's book. That doesn't mean that he only did 3 rehearsals, but we're going by the book and any additional information that we get while we're doing this. And you can see that these are the 3 rehearsals according to the book. They're all in the warehouse, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. And he's been working on Baby I'm a Star a while. And I think obviously it's because it's really sort of the, the showstopper. And it has a lot of energy, and he brings up people on the stage and what have you. All right, so alert, we're going to go into our rabbit hole section of the day. So if you don't like rabbit holes and you just want to talk about Prince, this is your time. You can leave. Thank you so much for being here. but I think we won't be here for much longer, but I hope that you'll stay with me and indulge me with my rabbit hole. So yes, there's so much more. So it's Lee Christian and Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer in terms of Wendy and Lisa. They did Soul Food as well. Thank you, Keith Upchurch, for that. Tears of Joy with Wendy on bass. Yes, they're on Seal's second album, which I listened to the other day, and a Sheryl Crow album from the 90s. They're also on Seal's first album as well, because Seal's first album was produced by Trevor. Why am I blanking? Trevor, is it Trevor Jones? Or am I making that up? I know it's Trevor. Let's see. Trevor Seal. I can't believe I'm blanking on Trevor's last name. Trevor Horn. Yep, Trevor Horn, because he actually recorded a full album with Wendy and Lisa that was never released. Thank you. Yes, Trevor Horn. So I'm assuming that they probably recorded around the same time that they were working with Trevor Horn with Seal. And let's see. Yep. Okay. Here we go. So first of all, last Saturday, I went to go see Erykah Badu, and this is not my first time seeing Erykah Badu. I've seen her actually since the very beginning. The first time I saw Erykah Badu, her album wasn't even out. I saw her at the Yin Yang Cafe in Atlanta in a very, very small club. It's very, very special. It was an incredible show. It was sort of the bar of all Erykah shows following. And so as someone who has seen Erykah on every single tour that she's done, this tour is incredible. Unfortunately, she's at the end, but she's actually coming to the UK. So again, this is included in the slideshow. If you click on this image, because most of the images, if you click on them, it'll take you somewhere. This will take you to the Unfollow Me Tour website, where you can see where she's going next. In addition to these dates here, because she's added some UK dates, you gotta go see the show. It's like so good. And I'm talking about Erykah's portion of the show, because Yasin Bey, also known as Mos Def, opens for her, and she has another opener who's really, really good. But Erykah's portion of the show is like next level. It looks fantastically Christian. If you have an opportunity to see her for this tour in particular, go see it. It's incredible. It's like lasers galore. I had the opportunity to see her at Madison Square Garden. It was really, really crazy. So let's see. In addition to that, a lot of people are talking about Wham, the Netflix documentary. I watched it. I loved it. I was a Wham fan in real time. And obviously a George Michael fan. Faith was one of my favorite albums. And, what was really great about the Netflix documentary was just seeing the friendship that they both had. And it's really a story about how important friendships are and how your friends really influence who you become. And it was just incredible to see Andrew's support, George Michael's ascent. And when, George Michael wanted to go solo, how graceful and gracious Andrew was. It's really a fantastic story to watch, particularly in this day and age where there's a lot of just drama and not a lot of love. And it was just so great to see this friendship. So highly recommend it. because we've been talking about a lot of fantastic music documentaries being released this year. So yes, Lee Christian, Andy Ridgely is the best mate ever. She was actually, Edgar, I didn't know that she was notorious for showing up late. Maybe this is something she does over there. I know that Lauryn Hill has notoriety for showing up late, but in terms of Erica, she's always been on time in the States. And I think it also has to do with there's very hard rules about you have to end, like union rules, because if they go over, they get fined. So I haven't experienced that with Erica, but obviously it might be different, over where you are. And let's see, Keith says, Wendy also plays the bass on the instrumental and ain't over until the fat lady sings on the Sign of the Times Deluxe. Yes, thank you so much, Keith, for reminding me of that. And then Lee Christian, I'm used to Axel Egger, so I can take it. Thank you for that, Lee Christian. All right, and so I was super excited when I heard that Dr. Mambo's Combo is going to re-perform the entire First Avenue performance that Prince did in 1983 in August at First Avenue on Friday, August 4th. And it's going to benefit the Minnesota Dance Theater as Prince's did back in 1983. So obviously, if you can get to Minneapolis on August 4th, this would probably be the place to be. So if anybody's going, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And we'll see. So, oh no, you waited 2+ hours for Axel. Wow, that's a long wait, Edgar. And then let's see. Purple Cat says, it took me back to when I had first heard him. I adored the story of their friendship and knowing who George was. And then JD says, unless remember our man like to make us wait. And so Christina, are you saying you have your tickets to seeing Mambo Combo at First Avenue? That'd be really fantastic. Then Edgar says, last time I saw Erica, she showed up 45 minutes late. The time before that, an hour. Oh, wow. Yep. I've never experienced that, but that's not good to wait for someone that long. All right. So, yes, let's see, Realign. I didn't even know about the Luther Vandross documentary. Can you talk a little bit more about it? Like, is it coming out on Netflix or is it Max? Like who, what's the channel that it will be on, the Luther Vandross doc? Because I would love to see that one as well. And yes, that's fantastic, Christina. You're definitely going to have to give us a report on how it is. Glad that someone is going. And then I really wanted to talk about, and I've already talked about Sheila a little bit today, but I am so happy that Sheila has finally gotten her Hollywood Walk of Fame star. And it happened this past week. And what was crazy is that she performed in front of it. If you click on this image in the slideshow, it'll go to a little clip with her two brothers, Juan and Pito, on the congas. They all three of them in front of her Walk of Fame. I thought that was really fantastic. And I found this little article that I thought was really interesting. So yeah, Ringo Starr and her, because I watched the ceremony, were there to, honor her. And what I found fascinating is that Sheila's is the 2,759th star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. 2,759th star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And hers is located at 6752 Hollywood Boulevard in front of the Musicians Institute, which is actually really fantastic. And she is supposedly the first female percussionist to be awarded a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. And also, according to the clip the first to actually perform in front of her star upon receiving it. So we just want to wish Sheila so many congratulations. It's so well deserved. Sheila E. needs a documentary of her own. She had a career before Prince. She has one after Prince, and she is one of the best percussionists in the world, and in my personal opinion, one of the best drummers, because I love Sheila on drums. So we just want to continue to celebrate Sheila. Let's see. Yes, baby, I'm a star, number 2759 to be precise. Let's see. All right. So we've been talking a lot about James Brown, and so this is actually the rabbit hole I want to go in today. Not for very long, but I think it's really important that we honor and respect Ms. Vicki Anderson, who was a part of James Brown's roster of female artists. I have this CD compilation called James Brown's Original Funky Divas, and it has a lot of Vicki Anderson songs on there, as well as Lynn Collins and Marva Whitney. It also has songs on here by Anna King and others. And James Brown can be heard on this album as well. She passed on July 3rd. Actually, last week, I just forgot to mention this, but I thought it's really important that we take the time to talk a little bit about Vicki Anderson. But before we do so, a couple of comments about Sheila from Becky. Hi, Becky. I hope you're well. Absolutely amazing human. Sheila autobiography is awesome. And let's see, Christina, I love everything Sheila, well deserved. And oh, wow. Okay. Real says it was reported earlier this week that Colin Firth, Jamie Foxx, and Sony Music are producing the Luther Vandross doc. That is really incredible. Oh, and Nick Felden says, I was a student of Musicians Institute. That is great. And then Edgar says, too little Prince fans seem to cheer Sheila on. Such a shame. I agree. Yes, we're going to talk about that as Carleen Anderson's mother, because if you go to, well, this slide, you'll see that I have Carleen Anderson, who is actually a very wonderful musician in her own right, vocalist. I first heard of Carleen Anderson from the Young Disciples. I was heavy in the acid jazz scene. Young Disciples Road to Freedom, which was released on Talking Loud Records back in 1991, is one that never left my rotation for very long. I played it to death. So Carleen was a part of that. And then she began releasing solo records on her own. And my favorite is 1994's. And I realized I have like this, I need to, I had her mom's birth and death dates on here. So I need to remove that. So that's for her mom, which is Vicki Anderson. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was one of Vicki Anderson's songs that was produced by James Brown, and it was on James Brown's King Records. And this is in the middle. You can see it was released in 1970, which was the year that I was born. The name of the song was called The Message from the Soul Sisters, part 1 and part 2. And she actually recorded under her birth name, which is actually Myra Barnes. Myra Barnes and Vicki Anderson became her stage name, but her or I might have it confused. It might be Myra Barnes and Vicki Anderson, but it was released under Myra Barnes. And this particular song, The Message from the Soul Sisters, was sampled by Little Kim in the song No Time, which was Little Kim's debut single from her debut album, Hardcore, back in 1996. So if you know No Time, you have heard this really awesome song from Vicki Anderson, produced by James Brown, The Message from the Soul Sisters. And let's see. Nick Felton says, when I was a student at Musicians Institute, their library had a copy of Romance 1600 live on VHS, and I did watch it. Yes, we're going full circle. I love that, Nick. We were talking about the Romance 1600 live VHS earlier in this episode. I really, really, really want that to be released digitally. It would be really fantastic if it could be, like given the royal treatment just for the performance of the Love Bazaar with Prince alone. That's one of my favorite performances of Love Bazaar by Prince and Sheila ever. But the entire show is really, really, really good. Big Chris said hardcore is the rudest record since maybe ever. Yeah, it was huge when it came out, and I do think it is because of the incredible sample that they did of Vicki Anderson's "The Message from the Soul Sisters." All right, so for those of you who don't know, Vicki Anderson was actually married to Bobby Bird, and Vicki passed at 83. Bobby Bird passed at 73, and back in 2007. This is a really fantastic photo of David Corio, and Vicki Carlene rather, looks just like her mom. So you can definitely see that they are mother and daughter. So I love this photo. And again, we've been talking a lot about James Brown, and I've been watching a lot of James Brown and revisiting the Mr. Dynamite documentary, which I highly, highly recommend. If you can get the DVD or Blu-ray, even better, so you can listen to the commentary and also get access to some of the bonus features. And one of the bonus features is the Soul Train performance with B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland, as well as James Brown on stage. They call him back up, he introduces them, but they call him back on stage and he performs. And if you subscribe to C. Leeds newsletter, he talked about this clip this week. Sorry about that. It's an incredible performance if you haven't seen it. And I also was I was really surprised to hear an actual live performance on Soul Train, because I just assumed that all of the Soul Train performances were sort of lip synced. Maybe they did that later in the 80s or something when I was watching, but it was actually live. It was a live performance, and it was really fantastic just to see James Brown to be amongst two musicians that you could obviously see he admired so greatly and so dearly. It was really touching to see, but also it was incredible to see how unique James Brown is. And he's just moaning, and it just made it level up just through moans. So yeah, it was really fantastic. Yep, Sheila E was so hot in the Love Bazaar video. Yes. And let's see what else I got. I don't think I have much more. Yep. So as always, if you go to the bottom of the playlist, at the bottom of the book club website, you can watch Baby I'm a Star live for Santa Monica, which includes Body Heat, because we've been talking about Baby I'm a Star and Body Heat for the past couple of weeks. And then you can also re-listen to Commuting, which we played at the beginning. And then you can also listen to the Message from the Soul Sisters, as well as Little Kim's song No Time. I found the clip of the James Brown, Bobby Blue Bland, and B.B. King blues medley that you can actually watch. And then I found a live song of Vicki Anderson, live in Paris from 1971. So thanks, Jess Russo. Yes, few exciting artists as James Brown and Al Green were requested to perform live on Soul Train. That was really, really special to see that. So it was just because I've had the DVD since it's been out, and I hadn't gone around to watching those particular bonus tracks. So that was really great to see. And then the last slide is basically just showing you the schedule again, bookclub.polysolid.com/schedule. And just reminding everyone that we're using the expanded edition for the pages. So if you don't have the expanded edition, you need to go by the beginning and ending chapter. And thank you so much, Christina. I really appreciate you telling me that you love the playlist, because sometimes I go, I don't know if people are actually listening to these playlists. So knowing that you are listening to them, I will definitely continue to do them. And I find it useful to be able to go after the show and maybe listen and watch some of the stuff that we're talking about. And Anisha says, Prince doesn't have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was asked twice, but politely said the timing wasn't right. I did not know that. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so we are at the end of our time together, and I can't believe we went over an hour. I didn't think we were going to go that long today. So I really appreciate you and all of the conversation. I hope that you will have a really fantastic rest of your day and put on some Prince or some James Brown or some Baby I'm a Star or some Body Heat. Oh, I forgot to ask. Did anyone do the homework assignment from last week? The homework assignment was to listen to James Brown's Gravity and see if it felt like you heard Baby I'm a Star. Because I don't hear it. Was it Baby I'm a Star, or is it Gonna Be a Beautiful Night? One of those songs Questlove had talked about, actually Prince, kind of cribbed a little bit, but I don't know. So, yes, did you do that, Jess Rules? And can you tell me, did you hear it? Because I don't hear it. Did you hear it? We're gonna wait and see if Jess Rules heard it. Okay, so it does have a taste, and the song supposedly is "It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night," is sort of cribbed from James Brown's Gravity. And Real Line the DJ says, yes, I heard the Sonics. Okay. Well, I got to go back and re-listen to Gravity again. And maybe this time what I'll do is I'll listen to Gravity and then also put on It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night back to back to kind of to see it. So I'm not that familiar with Gravity. Obviously, I've played It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night up the wazoo. So I know it's gonna be a beautiful night. So Heavenly Gaze, yes, it does sound like it. It's there. Okay. Lee Christian, love this. I might go put on some Talking Loud and other acid jazz. Actually, have not heard Carleen Anderson in a bit. Yes. Carleen Anderson has a very distinctive voice. So if you're into unique voices, Carleen would be someone to listen to. All right. Okay. Well, it's been a blast as always, and I will see you next week for week 29 of What Did Prince Do This Week?